And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
It's Jalen's birthday, everybody.
What up, though?
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, though?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in, center stage on the mic.
And we putting it on wax. It's the new style.
We're Jalen and Jacoby. What do?
We give the people what they want.
Uh-oh. What's happening here? Uh-oh. Jalen, one thing I love about Jalen is he knows himself. He's not the guy that pretends he doesn't want people to celebrate his birthday, but secretly does. He's not the guy that legitimately doesn't want people to celebrate his birthday. He's the guy that's like, y'all better do something for my birthday. I only get one day a year, and just for me, and I'm going to take advantage.
Family, I appreciate the love and the support from all of my teammates these last 6 years. I'm truly fortunate that it's my 45th birthday, and the unique thing that I want to suggest is that I want to bring a pillow talk conversation that you and I had onto wax.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Of course it is. We can edit it out. We can just edit it out later if I don't like it. Everybody see what I got to deal with? We can just edit it out if Jacoby don't like it. Exactly.
Like, if Reg can like it, I can like it, Tanner can like it, Rochelle can like it, Harlan can like it. But if Jacoby doesn't like it, it doesn't make the show. Now, as we all get older in this industry in particular, you reinvent yourself. Mm-hmm. How many nicknames has Puffy or Jay-Z had? Tons, because they've been doing it for a really long time. What do you like to be called for public consumption?
Jacoby.
So when you don't call me, when I ask you to call me, I'm going to call you David.
Oh, you mean Jalen versus everybody?
Correct.
Okay. It's hard. First of all, we've been doing the same thing for 6 years. And you want me to say, he is Jalen versus everybody, right? That's what you want me to say during every intro. Okay?
Correct.
Here's the thing about that. It violates one of your main mottos.
What's that?
Can't give yourself a nickname.
I didn't give myself a nickname.
It just doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel natural coming out of my mouth. He's Jalen versus everybody. You can't give yourself a nickname. Can't do it. You said that on wax with Swaggy P.
First off, let me just tell you something. Does that sound like a nickname or a moniker? What? Do you know the difference between the two?
There isn't much difference between the two. Do you know the difference between the two?
Oh, my goodness.
Look, because I love you.
Hold on, seriously?
Jalen.
You don't know the difference between a moniker?
I'll call you Steven if you want me to. I have no trouble saying Jalen versus everybody. I have no trouble saying Jalen versus everybody.
I have nicknames. Jinx, Long Boy. I have Motown Clown. I have nicknames.
Okay.
I never asked you to call me a nickname.
I'll call you Jalen versus everybody. Every podcast. Can't do it on the TV show, though.
Why not?
TV is too serious. Whatever you want, Jalen. Whatever you want. Follow Jalen on Jalen versus everybody on Instagram. That's really what this is about. That's really what this is about. It's your birthday. You can get whatever you want. He is Jalen versus everybody.
And also, here's the thing. When you're able to have a show named after you, like Jalen and Jacoby.
Love it.
Like Jalen versus everybody, that has now become a common name in the lexicon. Can I live?
You can live, Jalen. It's your birthday. You can get whatever you want. You know how I always try to go back at you and make fun of you and clown you? Today's your day. Whatever you want, Jalen. You're great.
But you know what?
You're a great person. I love you very much. You're great to everybody in the staff.
I love you too.
You always appreciate all the hard work that everybody puts in. We both complain a lot, but today's the day to celebrate you. You work harder than people think you do. You actually do prepare from time to time.
Don't tell that too
You
loud.
don't miss too many days, and we really appreciate everything you do around here for all of us, personally and professionally.
Thank you, family. Also, I want to say...
Can I borrow $10,000?
Absolutely.
Good.
No question about it. But here's also what I want to point out. We have an amazing squad, and we have an amazing team. That's why I humbly say this with all honesty. This never feels like work.
I know.
They say if it doesn't feel like work, if you do something you love, then it's never worked.
You'll never work a day in your life. I'm telling you, I love doing this show too. And I used to be offended when you said this doesn't feel like work. I was like, you don't treat it like work. But you know what? Now I'm embracing it. You know?
Well, that's because this is the only show you work on with me. You don't realize I'm doing the same approach every show.
No, I saw you look down at your notes on First Take today. I was like, what's he looking down at? He got notes or did he get a text? Because on my show, you look down when you get a text. On that show, you're looking down at your notes.
Here's the difference, though. When I'm on this show, I'm on with my brother from another mother. When I'm on that show, I'm on with wifey. So I got to be on point.
Good point. Yeah. She'll judge a lot worse than I will.
And she's all on my case, sending me the topics, asking me to respond to emails, and why I ain't on time. I'm like,
oh, God.
This is why you need to have people in your life that love you, that keep you on point. Don't have enablers in your life. Get you a David Jacoby or a Molly Karen that's going to challenge everything you say, challenge everything you do.
Not today, though, because it's your birthday, brother.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate you.
Your Detroit Pistons were right in the middle of it. Here are the details of the trade. The Clippers sent Blake Griffin, Bryce Johnson, and Willie Reed to the Pistons. The Clippers get back Avery Bradley, Tobias Harris, Boban! 2018 first round, 2019 second round. Jalen Rose, you are a lifetime Pistons fan. You are a Detroit native. You tell us, as a Pistons fan, not an NBA analyst, how do you feel about the Pistons haul in this trade?
I feel terrific about it. I feel bad for our colleague, Michelle Beadle, because her favorite player, Boban, comes to L.A., and she's going to the East Coast to do Get Up April 2nd.
What can you do?
Here's why it's a really good thing for the Detroit Pistons. A lot of times we talk about a three-point happy NBA, but usually you attribute it to building your roster to beat the best team. That has become the Golden State Warriors. What makes them unique is that they have a 6'11 guy named Kevin Durant that has led the league in scoring 4 times, playing the 4 spot. And to close games, they have a 6'7 guy named Draymond Green, who just so happens to not only lead the team in rebounds, but lead the team in assists.
Okay.
Everybody's trying to match that dynamic on the interior.
How do Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin do that?
Most people aren't going to be able to do. Match that dynamic. Look at the landscape in the Eastern Conference where they play. And the top teams, which, by the way, before LeBron went to Miami, won championships, and won the East basically every year for 4 times in a row, then went back to Cleveland and did the exact same thing, he's had a stranglehold on that conference. But before then, since Michael Jordan retired, oh man, the East was a revolving door. Okay? You've seen the Philadelphia 76ers, the Nets, the Pacers, all types of teams come out of that conference. So now when you look at the Boston Celtics, who do they have up front? Do you know who the Boston Celtics have up front?
Of course I do. My man Aaron Baines, the New Zealander.
Okay. Who do the Cleveland Cavaliers have up front? Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson.
Sure.
Who do the Washington Wizards have up front?
Oh, it's a mess, Gortat.
Absolutely. So there are teams that have individual bigs like Embiid or Whiteside. So to have 2 guys that can potentially get you 15 points from Drummond, really good passers at their position, both double-figure rebounds, I think this is going to bolster what they're trying to get accomplished as a playoff run in the East. And lastly, they're both still under contract for multiple years. And when you're a team that doesn't continue to attract marquee free agents and you get to all-star level players that are both under contract for multiple years, it's a good move for my hometown team.
Okay, well, certainly in the short term, this isn't exactly going to put them into contention because, as you mentioned, both those players are great passers. They don't really have much to pass to. And you talk about the long term. Blake Griffin in the last 4 years has missed about 1/3 of every game. And how do you feel about them paying this guy who's not always on the floor $39 million in the 2020-21 season? Isn't that concerning a little bit as a Pistons fan?
Were the Philadelphia 76ers concerned to give Joel Embiid a max contract? In his 4th season, he hasn't played 82 total games. That doesn't stop people from projecting that Philadelphia is trusting the process and they're going to be the team in the future. Certain players have injury concerns. Blake Griffin is one of those players. But if he is healthy to go along with Andre Drummond, they're going to be a force in the Eastern Conference where usually the best team, like the Greek Freak or like Porzingis, usually has that one guy up front that can be dominant. Not necessarily two of those level players.
I love what you're doing here. I like this spin. It's like everyone else is going small. We're going to zig while everyone else is going to zag. So we talked about the future, but let's talk about the here and now. Right now, the Pistons sit 3 games behind the Sixers, 4 in the loss column, for the playoff seed in the 8th spot. Do you think this is more about them getting into the playoffs this year and winning this year? Or is it more about we've got a new arena in downtown Detroit, Blake Griffin will sell some tickets and put butts in the seats?
I'm good friends with their owner, Tom Gores. And other than breathing, the other thing he really wants to do is win. And so that's what this move is all about. Stan Van Gundy has looked at the landscape of his squad and was like, we would lose Tobias Harris, who I applaud what he did for my Detroit Pistons. You know how much I love Avery Bradley, who's in the final year of his contract. And like KCP, the year prior is going to command a big-time deal. But the anchor of the team is and has been Andre Drummond. You need somebody that's going to be compatible, that can play high-low with him up front and also be able to pass and not necessarily clog up the paint and dribble handoff and pick-and-roll type situations and punish smaller lineups like you see with New Orleans. If you can't be the Golden State Warriors or the Houston Rockets, then you got to put your best couple of players as your anchors. I think Detroit put themselves in a position to make this year's playoffs and a better position moving forward, playing in that new arena you talked about in downtown Detroit.
One thing that's kind of curious about this trade is the Clippers just signed Blake Griffin to a huge 5-year deal just months ago. And while they were wooing him when he was a free agent, they did this whole presentation where they brought him to the Staples Center and they had the PA announcer announce they were retiring his jersey. They had some people ring up the banners into this rafters with his number on it, and they called him a Clipper for life. Calling him a Clipper for life and then trading him just months later. What does that tell you about the business of the NBA?
He's a Clipper for life. So is fellow Michigan alum Lloyd Vaught, who 15 to 18 foot mid-range was knocking him down for the Clippers consistently. Blake Griffin, however, was traded. And when you're an all-star future Hall of Fame player and you leave, a la LeBron James in Miami, it's going to be a while if and when they ever retire his number. Or Chris Paul, the way he asked out of Los Angeles and forced basically a trade to Houston. I don't think that Chris Paul in the near future is going to get the ceremony that you talked about for Blake Griffin before a guy that they drafted, basically he's been 2010, became a perennial all-star. He now sits as the greatest Clipper of all time. He deserves the acclaim.
Most important question, Jalen, how long are you going to wait before you hit Blake Griffin up to sponsor students at the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy in Detroit?
Oh, I'm about to do that right now.
I mean, it's like, I'm surprised you didn't do it already. We got to get Blake involved with JRLA. Let's have him at the golf event. He can sponsor a basketball team. They can do the uniforms. Like, come on, Blake, get involved in the Detroit community the right way.
No doubt.
At the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy.
I don't have to tell you this because you're a kind contributor, supporter. You want us money at Family Feud. You raise money at running the marathon. If somebody has ever heard the word Detroit, ever seen Michigan on a map, ever flown through Detroit Metropolitan Airport, please believe me, I've asked them directly or indirectly to support the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy.
Something tells me that Mr. Griffin will not be driving around Detroit in a Kia. Nope. Message to Clippers fans. I know today might be hard. You know, you're starting a rebuild. You've lost one of the biggest stars you had, Blake Griffin. But here's some good news. You get some nice pieces back. You're going to get some picks. There's this information. Woj wasn't done dropping bombs after he dropped the Blake Griffin trade. He also said that the Clippers are now officially taking calls and making calls about DeAndre Jordan. We kind of knew that. Lou Williams kind of knew that. But also Avery Bradley's been mixed into this. Yep. Jalen, what happens now for the Clippers? Do they continue to tear this down to build it back up?
Here's what's tricky. This is where, when you're the Clippers, you hire Jerry West, somebody who has a track record of being an all-time great architect.
Yep.
Because when you watch them play their next basketball game, 5 of their top 6 players from last year are no longer on the team.
Nope.
Chris Paul, J.J. Redick, Blake Griffin, Jamal Crawford. People forget about him as well.
Austin Rivers still there.
Absolutely.
Major piece.
And so now it's official that they're moving away from the Lob City era. And there's no shock, there's no accident that this team was looking the Golden State Warriors eye to eye. And then they just went to the next level. They had a couple of chances to get over the hump. In particular, in the playoff series versus the Houston Rockets, they were winning by 18. Wasn't able to close the deal.
Nope.
And the next thing that Woj didn't mention, that when I'm watching the game and Jerry West sitting basically courtside, right next to the bench, eyeing and hearing everything that's happening, I'm like, Doc, you may be next.
How do you think Doc feels about his real estate in Los Angeles right now?
He's like, let me check on what's going on in these media jobs. I hear 5 to 8 teams that's going to change coaches.
I heard Doc
Clippers
just joined 2 more golf country clubs in Los Angeles and giving himself some extra time.
And there is a window of opportunity that unfortunately that group of Clippers, it closed on them due to injury, due to productivity, and due to the fact that the Golden State Warriors became an outstanding basketball team that swept through the NBA and took it by storm.
So I know you love Avery Bradley. He's one of your guys. I mean, me and you have been watching basketball for years now, and you always pointed to him and said, I love him. And I know you like Tobias Harris. Do you think they keep those 2 pieces long term? Is that part of the rebuild?
That's the tricky part. So you look at another player like a Lou Williams, and you figure the way he's playing, all-star caliber, why wouldn't they keep him? So this is where you now have Jerry West that has to make these decisions, because if you notice, the goal is to have players that don't have long-term contracts. And you know who gets left out of this dynamic?
Who?
Danilo Gallinari. Somebody they brought in from the offseason to play quality minutes. He got hurt. Patrick Beverly, he got hurt. So the team that they were supposed to field never truly got a chance to gain any momentum.
Isn't that the story of the Clippers, though?
Yep.
He got hurt. It just seems like, look, on paper, like I remember you and I talking into these exact microphones saying, I like the Clippers on paper. Look at their starting 5, Beverly, Gallinari, and then, you know, these other pieces mixed in with Blake and DeAndre. Oh, but they got hurt. It just seems like that's always the story. Do you think that he got hurt will save Doc Rivers his job?
Or maybe the Clippers are cursed, like a lot of people have suggested. I don't think that Doc Rivers is their coach next year. I think it's going to come out that he's decided to step down, and he's going to be a candidate. And here's some other names that I just want to put out there in the atmosphere that I anticipate will be back in the league next year in one way, shape, or form. David Fizdale, Mark Jackson, Monty Williams, and don't sleep on Ime Udoka, an assistant with the San Antonio Spurs. Doc Rivers is going to be in that conversation also. I think a lot of jobs will be opening up because this past offseason, the NBA didn't make any coaching changes.
Here's one thing I'm concerned about. I know you're going to have a lot of your time tied up in Get Up, the new morning show, a lot of your time tied up in Countdown.
Get Up!
Next year, are we going to be Rivers and Jacoby? Is that what's going to happen?
Not going to be able to do it. And here's the thing.
I can't have a co-host that has worse hairline than mine. You know what I mean? I can't do that. I can't do that.
I don't care if it's Reg. I don't care if it's Harlan. I don't care if it's Tanner. I don't care when Kaylee Nolan comes on, Michelle Beadle. Y'all always having these conversations about what if. I am not going anywhere.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You got to deal with me.
Okay, but next time when you come back, don't wear a suit.
I was working this morning. It's my birthday.
A fresh new year has begun, and if you're setting new goals for your business, it's extremely difficult to reach them without the right people on your team. And ZipRecruiter has transformed how you go about finding them. In need of great talent for your business on short time? You don't have to get lost in a huge stack of resumes to find your perfect hire. You just need the right tools. You need smarter tools. You need ZipRecruiter.com. ZipRecruiter posts your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with just a single click. Then, ZipRecruiter actively goes out and finds the most qualified candidates to invite them to apply for the job. Then, ZipRecruiter reviews every single application, identifies the perfect matches, the top candidates, and you never miss a great match. That is why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you. It finds them. That's why It's no surprise that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter.com get a quality candidate through the website in just one single day. ZipRecruiter, far and away the smartest way to hire. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes and industries to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, our listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. How much, Jalen?
Free.
That's right. Absolutely free. How many dollars is that, Jalen?
$0.
All you have to do is go to ZipRecruiter.com/J&J to hire quality candidates. Use ZipRecruiter. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/J&J. You can post your positions absolutely free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/J&J. One more time. Try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/J&J. Quickly, we have one piece of broken news.
To everyone else, it's breaking news. To Jalen and Jacoby
You'll
listeners,
never believe this, Jalen Rose.
broken.
What's that, sir?
This isn't news to people that watch and listen to this program every day. The Indians have announced that they're no longer going to use the overtly racist character logo of Chief Wahoo.
No.
We've been calling for this for years now, but I want to spin this forward. It is time that pretty much every other Native American-based mascot follows suit, and you know I'm looking at you, Washington football team. Jalen, it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen, but when will the Washington football team finally come to their senses and change their name?
We've talked about it on this program as something that we've tried to own. We like to retire numbers. We hope to be innovators. And that is a nice hat tip. And I agree with you. Florida State, same exact thing. Atlanta baseball team, they're going to follow suit. Washington football team,
It's all
they're
gonna
going to follow
happen.
suit. And it's only the right thing to do in 2018. If it offends anyone, then it's up for consideration that you probably should not have that as your name and logo.
45 years ago today, not only was this world blessed with the life and spirit of Jalen Rose, also the name Jalen. You know, this is 45 years ago. This is a reason for celebration and part of a birthday celebration. None is complete
Thank you.
without
You're such a
birthday
sweetheart. Thank you.
cake.
Thank
We got the
you.
cake there. 45.
Thank you. It's so thoughtful.
And Jalen, in celebration of your 45th birthday, we saw that you put this picture up on Instagram of yourself holding a bat, which is pretty normal. But what's up with the fur coat? What is happening there? 45
Here's the deal
caliber.
with the fur coat. Late in my career, I played for a couple of cold climate cities.
Yep, Toronto
And so,
comes to mind.
Toronto and New York, and then I went to Phoenix. And then I retired from the league and was in Detroit and or LA for the most part during the wintertime. So now that I'm going to be stationed on the East Coast, I started gathering all of my things and doing like you did. And I'm like, wait a minute, I got a lot of nice fur coats and a lot of old gear that I need to start either rocking, giving away, or throwing away. And so that's a coat that I've had for 10 years, and I've worn it a half a time.
Quick question. Are dudes wearing fur coats cultural?
Absolutely, yes.
I think so, too. And we also wanted to celebrate your birthday, not just alone here with us and the staff, but your extended family as well. We have this tweet from one of our colleagues and close friends, Michelle Beadle. She says, Jalen, if I promise to bring all the lobster and popcorn a human could possibly consume, will you watch Game of Thrones or Star Wars or any other iconic product of modern Hollywood? Happy birthday,
gonna be
buddy.
able to do it.
Not even
I
on
love
your
you,
birthday?
B. Appreciate
With all the
shout.
lobster, all the popcorn? You won't watch one Star Wars movie if you were surrounded by lobster and popcorn?
Take hours and hours of my time and energy to watch Star Wars? Are you serious? Game of Thrones? How about that picture? Channeling my Frank Lucas.
As we include not just our family here at ESPN, but our extended family, our listeners and our supporters of this program. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our voicemail to take some birthday wishes for Jalen. Don't forget, if you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave his voicemails, and we'll play them on the show, just like this one from George.
Yo, Jalen, this is George from Chicago. Happy birthday, bro. I'm just calling, I'm calling. Shout out to Reg. Hopefully I get on the show. Man, shout out to Jacoby. Shout out to Jacoby's family. Blessings to Jacoby's family. Blessings to Reggie's family. Blessings to Jalen Rose's family. I'm proud of you, bro. 45 years old. man, good luck with you. And just let us know what you're doing for your birthday, man. You champagning the campaign and let us know.
Jalen, are you champagning and campaigning to celebrate 45?
There's a big difference between 25 when you really champagning and campaigning to 35 when you're a parent and you can have a couple and you calling it an early night. That's considered 2 a.m. There will be zero champagning and campaigning in our household.
Oh, come
After
on.
this shoot, Molly and I are actually going to yoga. That's how I'm celebrating.
Oh, yeah,
having
there
a
you go.
nice low-key dinner at the house and getting ready to travel to the West Coast to do Countdown on Wednesday.
Well, when you're on the West Coast, you might not have an hour or 2 hours for your buddy and brother Jacoby to celebrate. A little post-birthday celebration, maybe a little champagne and campaigning then.
Now, that's a different story.
All right. Good. Well, we also have this tweet from a fan also celebrating your birthday. This came in. It's from Dusty. Soft move or boss move, making a wish as you blow out your birthday candles. And is it cultural having your face pushed into your birthday cake as you go in to take a bite?
A few things. First off, I appreciate all of the callers, all of the birthday love. I'm truly humbled by this level of love and support. With that being said, it's 100% cultural to put a cake in someone's face, a la Paid in Full when Cameron did it. No doubt about it. It is not fun. It is not funny. And it's something that somebody did it to me, they're going to get hit with a bat.
Yeah, because here's the thing. When it's your birthday, especially for females, there's makeup done. And I know you got your hair cut today. Your waves are spinning. Like, you really concentrate on your look today. You got the Burberry tie on. Like, let's not get cake all over you. I know we're in a celebratory mood and it is your birthday and everything, but news has just broken that John Wall is going to have a procedure to clean up his knee, and he'll be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Jalen, what does this mean for Wall and the Wizards?
Fortunately for him, he didn't suffer the horrific level of injury that his former teammate Boogie Cousins did. You talked about it being a minor surgery. He should be back, as you mentioned, in a handful of weeks. I think they still become a playoff team. I think he's still back, one of the most athletic players in the game. It's unfortunate he got to miss the All-Star game, but at least they caught it early.
Jalen, I'm a little disappointed that you're going to celebrate your birthday by going to yoga. I can't lie. I expect more from you. Come on now.
The same guy that's been on me about working out more, the same guy that work. You such a hypocrite. You work out every day.
Not on my
you play
birthday.
basketball. You go to yoga.
Let's listen to another voicemail celebrating Jalen.
What up, though? I'm Alex from Tucson. Shout out Red and the rest of the staff. Happy birthday to Jalen. I remember Jacoby mentioning it, and I remembered it because it's my birthday, too. Been a habitual pod listener since I was like 11, and y'all were still with the Grantland. Missed the pod, Father, and Clairvoyant Bill's predictions. Congrats to making the 2 p.m. time slot. And my question has to do with the baby Lakers. I mean, like, which piece do they move? We saw them trade D'Angelo Russell. And personally, I think it's time to move Ingram because he's going to get Paul George next year. Let me know what you think. Keep giving the people what they want.
What do you think about the Lakers? What should they do?
They're not necessarily operating in a position of strength if you're talking about getting an all-star level player in return.
No.
Because none of the pieces that you're talking about trading are playing in this year's All-Star game.
No.
Now, Kuzma, however, clearly has elevated value based on his performance. But the problem is his productivity doesn't match his salary, and nobody's going to take Luol Deng's salary and Kuzma off your hands and give you an all-NBA player.
Let me say this, though, and I live in Los Angeles, so I talk to Laker fans a lot. This is exactly where you want to be as a franchise. The expectations are so high because you wear the purple and gold, because you have Magic Johnson there. But all these other teams that are trying to quote-unquote rebuild, you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to have a bunch of good players on their first or second deals so they don't have to max them out and pay someone $30, $40 million. They've got a core of good young players that have good value. Like, this is what you want. This is like basically a classic case of what you're supposed to do when you're rebuilding. But Lakers fans are just so thirsty to win. Playoffs, championships. It's a long con. You don't need LeBron James. You've got a great young core that will get older, and you've got enough cap space to add a piece or two. This is where you want to be.
I disagree because I judge success by what?
Realistic expectations.
What are the Los Angeles Lakers' expectations?
Probably the 8th seed is the ceiling.
You're looking at the team on the floor. That franchise has expectations to win championships.
But that's what I'm saying, Jalen. But based on where they're current, that's what I'm saying is the fans' expectations are too high. They want to compete for a championship every single year, but you have to tear it down to build it back up. And when Kobe Bryant ate up all of that cap space, you couldn't really do much. You're handcuffed by Kobe Bryant, so it's going to take some years after that to rebuild and get it back. They've got players I love. I love Lonzo Ball. I love Ingram, kinda. I love Kuzma. I like Randall. They've got a young core, which is good. Shout out to Jordan Clarkson.
Shout out.
I wish I could say this in a different language. You're wrong. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay, Stephen A.
When you're trying to build through the draft, a la Golden State Warriors, you hope those become all-star, all-NBA caliber players. Maybe Kuzma becomes that.
Ball.
But if that happens, you haven't seen the level of promise that you see in Philadelphia, and they're barely hanging on to an eighth seed, or that you saw with the Pelicans, and they're barely amongst the lower tier of the Western Conference playoffs. Look at Minnesota. Whose young core would you take?
Well, I would take the Lakers' young core.
Stop it right now. You
They
need to be
over
drug
who?
tested.
Over Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins and no one else?
Come on. You ever heard of Jimmy Butler?
Jimmy Butler is not a young core. You know, he's not like first, second deal guy. He is the engine that runs that team, and we've all seen that in the past month.
What I'm trying to tell you is that if you're going to build your team through the draft, look at the Knicks. So here's what the Lakers look like to me. Kuzma becomes Porzingis. What does that mean? No closer to a championship.
No. But
Kuzma becomes Greek Freak. No closer to a championship.
But here's the thing. It becomes what the conversation was at the beginning, the expectations part. There are 30 franchises in the National Basketball Association. Only one of those is going to win a championship. There's going to be 29 teams that don't win a championship. So when you say, oh, are they going to win a championship? Probably not, because the Warriors are there, and there's other better teams than them. But to compete and to build slowly and to have a young core and to be smart with deals, that's what they are doing. Like, if I'm a Laker fan, I'm not complaining that we're not competing for a championship. I'm saying I trust what this franchise is doing. They're making good moves. I'm a Laker fan. That's all I'm saying. Yep. Jalen, thank you for everything that you do for us. We get one day to celebrate just for you. Love you very much. That's from me and the entire staff.
Shout out.
Enjoy your day. And save a little time to celebrate with your buddies over here in the West Coast when you get out here.
No doubt. Appreciate it. Thanks for the support, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Make sure you tell your friends to subscribe to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast. The Jalen Jacoby television show is on every day, ESPN2 at 2 p.m. Make sure you check that out as well. Rate us on iTunes. Review us, because we are competitive and we want to rise in those rankings.
We're competitive, as David Jacoby would say.
Happy birthday, Jalen.